I've seen more of the inner workings of what it takes to produce an event in VRChat.
Hmm.
I would say that I have further respect and renewed respect for the people who volunteer to construct these events, and also great respect for the developers, of course, who have given us this platform to play.
Yeah. Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and a hell of a guest is...
I'm Commander A9. How are you?
Hello. Thank you very much for joining us. It's an absolute honor.
Yeah, no
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being. You're welcome.
Oh, so what is it you're most known for, and how'd you get started with everything?
So I am Commander A9 in the furry community. I am known as Chevron. I am the leader of a group of gamers and VRChat enthusiasts called Comrades and Ops. Every Thursday, we host VRChat games. We go for 2 hours. We play high-capacity Quest-compatible games. I'm also a member of the Furality online experience staff, as well as staff for Projekt Community, CozyCon, and WaterWolf. I go to a lot of virtual conventions, VRChat events. I also am part of a team that attends in-person furry conventions all up and down the East Coast and in Canada, in the United States as well. And we host VRChat meet and greets and portals.
Oh, wow.
So we set up a massive apparatus that links both the real world and the virtual world and allows attendees all over the world to participate in said portal and interact with their friends at various conventions.
Oh, wow. Sounds like you're up to a lot. What got you started?
Sounds like somebody in a fucking cookie jar going, God, I want the cookie at the bottom. Holy shit. Not the ones on top.
It does get busy. You know, I am involved in a lot, but I guess one reason that I choose to involve myself in so much is that I feel like if I stop participating, then I stagnate, I spin my wheels, and I just waste away. I mean, during COVID-19, and I think we can attribute VRChat's success to COVID-19 because everybody's indoors, all these cons and events are canceling, nobody's going anywhere, a lot of state furry groups aren't doing anything because, you know, they're scared and a lot of people are getting hurt. So what else can you do except, you know, stay inside and play video games? And I think that's what really allowed VRChat as a platform to take off. You had a number of organizations that were born out of the pandemic. Furality online experience in May of 2020, CozyCon along the same time, and all of these virtual arms and capabilities of a lot of the conventions that we frequent, Vernal Equinox, FWA, Anthrocon, Blue Ridge Fur Fair, Biggest Little Fur Con, half a dozen other conventions I could name. I could go on and on about all these different groups that have flocked to VRChat, and now I think VRChat has become so ingrained into our furry community that it is now one of the cornerstones of how people participate and how people represent themselves.
Wow. Holy crap. So what got you into the platform and even your foot in the door with everything you're up to over here in the virtual world?
So it was the worst of the pandemic. 2020, you know, just started. That's when I personally was working at an IT job, and we were ordered to work from home. And the main office was closed. A lot of conventions that we were involved with are either canceling or they were going virtual. My local convention, Furrydelphia in Philadelphia. Oh dear, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Oh boy.
It's just Mom! It's just Mom. It's okay. Mom's just there once, and, you know, Mom always calls when you least expect it. Mom's always there.
Yeah, I do have a landline. I do have a landline, and unfortunately now I think we're... Anyway, I got my start at around mid of 2020 when a lot of our cons were canceling or they were going virtual. And my local convention, Furrydelphia, in Philadelphia, went virtual. They went to VRChat. So I wanted to continue participating in things. So I downloaded VRChat. And, you know, they said, we just made the hotel world. They went to, they made the Radisson Valley Forge Hotel in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. They reconstructed the lobby in great detail in VRChat. So I downloaded the platform and I met a number of people on the platform, and then I had some other friends reach out to me and say, hey, you're on VRChat. Let's get together. Let's show you what this is all about. So I went to virtual Furry Delphi and I had a blast. A lot of the staff were participating. And then a colleague of mine that I'd gotten to know introduced me to more of the platform and said, a lot of conventions are starting to go virtual. And then I went to the Furality online experience in November of 2020. And that was this watershed moment for me where the doors just opened wide. And I just threw myself into this platform, into VRChat. And then I went to Fernal Equinox, virtual Fernal Equinox, the Toronto convention in 2021, and had just as great of a time. Suddenly I'm getting more and more involved. I'm playing games. I'm going to raves. I'm going to conventions. I start hosting gatherings. I get a VR headset. I get a Valve Index in May of 2022, and it just blossoms from there. So I start as this, awkward new user stumbling around and getting used to things to now hosting my own events, hosting my own tournaments, making my own worlds, doing my own avatar textures, and now as a staff member of multiple conventions and groups. And it's been it's been a great ride. I don't know what I would do without this platform. I really don't.
Oh, really? So it sounds like your whole life has changed since you came to this platform way back when.
It's been a... How do you describe it? It's been a revolution. Really, it has been. That's the best term to describe it, because without this platform, I would probably still be this very shy, very socially awkward, very, timid person, that wasn't as involved, not as engaged, and certainly not with the friends that I have met, the people that I've gotten the chance to interact with from around the world. VRChat introduced me to a lot of different conventions. Because of VRChat, I went to Fernal Equinox in Toronto, AnthroCon, and Furry Week in Atlanta, down in Atlanta, Georgia. I got involved with Furality. I got involved with all these different groups. I started expanding my talents. I met amazing people in real life, off the screen, but was introduced to them first in VRChat and then got the opportunity to meet them in real life. And now I've got this crazy idea that, hey, I want to go to Eurofurence. I want to go to Europe. Like, me. Like, how could I come up with this idea? I came up with this idea because of VRChat. VRChat has opened the doors for me. And I want more people to experience this. I want more people to know about this. I guess that's one reason why I take pictures a lot. I'm a photographer for the Furality online experience, and I got involved with that because as I got more and more involved in VRChat, I was taking a lot of screenshots and posting them on my Fur Affinity galleries and trying to just spread awareness of all these fun things that we were doing. Say, hey, come join us. You need to check this out. At least just once.
So how did you first get involved with all these furry convention groups, such as Furality and everyone else? What got you in the door with all of them and staffing and working with them?
So it was kind of like developing a friendship with the organization, much like you would develop a friendship with an individual. I went to their initial conventions, I went to their initial events, and as I started getting more used to the idea about bringing people together, and I was, entertained by the idea of bringing people into VRChat, bringing people into the events, I started offering my services more and more to various groups. It started with, taking pictures for them, or just because I was there and I wanted people to know more about what was going on, so I would take pictures, I would share them, I would take their posters that they would made, and I would share them with multiple Discords and Telegrams I was in. And with Furality, at least, after the Luma Festival, one of my social groups encouraged me to apply to the group. And I was kicking it around in my head for a little while. And finally, I applied. At that point, I'd been taking screenshots and pictures for about 3 years and posted them all on my galleries. And I'd had people that thanked me for the photos or gave me credit or asked me outright to take photos for them at their events. So I said, all right, why not? Let's do it. The moment came when I was at the Furality Luma Festival at one of the meets, and one of the photographers was organizing people for a big group photo. right before he was about to pull the trigger, he crashed.
Oh.
And there's everybody standing on the island. And I went, all right, everybody, hold your positions. Let me go gather more people. So I started running around the map, making sure everybody was on the island, set up the camera, and finish the job, and send them the photo.
Oh, wow.
And then finally went, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. So I put on my best Furality suit. I got into Finn's room. I applied for the position. I got a call from the hiring personnel and said, hey, we want to interview you. And that was it. I was in. And it's been an amazing experience since. Because of Furality, I've been able to improve my technique with photography. And I've become more than just a photographer. I feel like I'm an integral part of the staff because I'm not just doing photography. I'm hosting new player night instances. I'm helping out various teams with what they need to do. I'm offering insight, ideas. I'm helping to spread the good word. I'm also going down to Furry Week in Atlanta and helping the Furality team, my fellow team members, set up the massive gateway, that giant apparatus that serves as a giant portal between FWA and Furality on the virtual side. And it's just like setting up a rock concert, because you're hauling around those giant metal trusses and the giant lights and all the computer equipment. The first time I was there, 2023, I was up to like 3 or 4 in the morning, screwing stuff in and making sure everything was all set up right. Oh yeah, just like setting up a rock concert. But it gave me such great satisfaction to know, hey, you helped build this. You were part of this effort. And that's something to be proud of. And I don't know of anything else that has really given me that sense of satisfaction, except maybe the job that I do now, the real world job that I have. But being part of Furality, being part of VRChat has been a great experience that I wouldn't give up for anything. And same thing goes for the other teams I'm involved with. And that's pretty much how I got involved with all the teams that I participate in. CozyCon, Projekt Community, WaterWolf, all started by me offering to do various things for them, like take pictures or promote or host events, host game nights. And eventually, when the opportunity came to apply to the staff, I did so. And it's been a great experience to be able to contribute to this platform, to our communities, to bring people together, and to put on a great event. Has been something that I can't really describe with words. When you see how the event is progressing, you see how the worlds are built, and you see all these great reactions from people, that's what I enjoy the most. To be part of a team that puts on a great, successful event like that it's a phenomenal feeling.
Well, speaking about that feeling, how's it feel for you going from being the person who attended these events virtually as a con goer to helping with a team? What's it like for you going from one side to the other?
Satisfying. It's been a wild trip, because you get to see firsthand the level of effort that goes into making these events. If you read up on, say, Furality's publicly available documents right on their website, you're going to see that running Furality is a very expensive, titanic endeavor. Just like Dalton told us during Silva, running Furality is a 6-figure expenditure. It is not cheap. Running a traditional in-person convention is a 6-figure expenditure, depending upon the con. Because you're talking about renting out a hotel. You're talking about orchestrating a room block. And with VRChat, you're talking about essentially renting out their server space. You're asking a major organization to allocate some serious hardware to your event and, putting in all the pieces in place to promote, to advertise, to recruit, to get all of the, all the chess pieces into place to make your event successful. Yeah, that doesn't come cheap. But, money aside, logistical effort is just absolutely monstrous. And it's so satisfying to see a successful event. It's even satisfying to see, troubleshooting efforts. Something goes down, it's all hands on deck, the special teams get summoned, they take care of whatever's gone wrong, they fix it, and you're firing on all cylinders, full steam ahead. Just chugging along. To be part of that effort is absolutely satisfying for me. Because I get a I get a great sense of satisfaction out of helping people. Even if it's just to say, you can find information on our website, go here. Or like the video that I made for CozyCon. For CozyCon this year, Cozy Cretaceous, which was dinosaur themed, we just got done with the convention just last month. I stumbled my way into making the badge. In fact, yeah, why not? Let me go diamonds here for a second. Let me show you firsthand. Here we go. All right. So the theme this year was Cozy Cretaceous. So we embraced a dinosaur theme. And this is our staff badge, which shows the main egg and leaves, which describe your position, title, the nest here, and this volcano with the flashing lava here. I ended up making the model for this, and then other team members made the artwork, and I made the emission here. But the idea of making the badge, staff called for ideas for the badge. And I think one or two people submitted drawings. But I said, well, let me start making something here. Let me just outline something real quick in Blender. Let me just show you what's in my head. And I had an idea about an egg with a nest that would get more leaves as upgrades if you got the higher tiers, or if you were on staff, or if you had a special position or something like that. And then higher level staff members or the directors would get the volcano with the lava effect. And as time went on, I took a step back when it was all done. I went, oh my God, I just made the badge. All right, here you go, guys. Here's the badge. Here's the model. Call up an artist. Have fun. And that's how the badge was born. So that was fun. That was cool to see. So they took the badge and they added a few more things to it, and the artwork team did an absolutely phenomenal job of making the designs. And they came up with 4 separate designs for attendees, for staff, for sponsors, for special personnel like vendors and DJs and such. And that's how the CozyCon badge came to be, which was, really cool, because I feel like I contributed something monumental to the con, an actual cornerstone of it. I mean, that's not to say that the work that I do for other cons isn't just as influential, just as impactful. But this here, you can physically see this on people's avatars. This is part of the con in real time, which is just incredible. So this was fun. But to be able to contribute to a convention, to a team, to an organization, fills me with a lot of joy. And to my team leader's credit at Furality, a shark named Sinra, he runs the photography team. We met again at Fernal Equinox this year up in Toronto, and I was hosting the VRChat meet and greet with Lilith Lotor, who made all of the worlds for Fernal Equinox and also volunteers for CozyCon, and Mblade, who is also from Canada. He runs the Tailbase organization, which provides back-end streaming support to all these different furry clubs and organizations. So the 3 of us got together. We hosted the VRChat meet and greet, along with the rest of the members of our team on the virtual side to set up the portal. And I confided in Sinra during the meet, and I told him, I feel like it's not enough. I feel like sometimes what I do just isn't enough. That there's always more I can do. That I need to do more. That I need to do something that, really has an impact. And he gave me a big hug and he stopped me and he said, look around. Everybody's here because of you. The room had at least 100 people. It was standing room only, filled to capacity. It was massive. It was one of the biggest gatherings we've held. So, to be part of a team that pulls off the amazing and to help be part of that effort, that's what I feel like my purpose is in our furry community. To help bring people together. And VRChat is a great way of doing that.
Very inspirational what you're doing with the team and Furality and stuff. You mentioned something I would like to ask a little bit about, the gateway portal that happened. What was how long did it take to set up that entire event, and what was the convention's response to seeing VRChat, even for?
Well, the nice thing about Furry Week in Atlanta, and I do want to say this in the middle, that while I am part of the Furality team, the views that I expressed during this interview should not be constituted as official statements from Furality itself. These are my opinions, my views, my position, take that as you will. I'm also not a director, so I can't really speak to the ins and outs of the really deep inner workings of what goes on behind the scenes. However, from what I have personally observed, from Furry Week in Atlanta's activities from 2020 ongoing. Furry Week in Atlanta has had great love, as far as I can tell, for VRChat, partly because they have their own world in VRChat. They have reconstructed the Atlanta Marriott Marquis from downtown Atlanta in absolutely striking detail. More importantly, they keep that world up to date with the current theme of FWA. So for this year, the theme was Furry University 2, which was return to campus, back to college, homecoming type of theme. The goods, the real world, what did I call them goods? I'm sorry. The merchandise, there we go, thank you. The merchandise that they were selling focused on varsity jackets, big foam hands, college pennants, that sort of thing. And on the virtual side, they had big balloons in their world. They had, the happy hour tents for their local breweries and craft drink organizations throughout the city. They had those set up on the one side. They had all the avatars and the NPC animations dancing with the college clothes on, such like that. That was really cool to see. And another beautiful thing was that they had a cooperative effort between Furality for the Gateway and WaterWolf, which built a gym from the ground up for FWA into FWA's theme. So the portal for Furality connected to the Atlanta Marriott Marquis Hotel in person at Furry Week in Atlanta, and likewise at the WaterWolf world in the virtual gym using the Furality Gateway portal apparatus. So you had all three of these major organizations all working together to bring people together. So for one, it was an absolutely amazing experience. For another, setup process, as I mentioned, was just like setting up a rock concert. Moving the big, heavy equipment to where it needed to go, setting up all the posters and the tarps and the behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't know if I'm really allowed to get too deep into it, but it was a lot of heavy lifting. It involved a lot of people staying up for very long hours with a lot of heavy equipment. And I think the fruits of our labor can be seen in the videos that people took and the photos that people took with Finn and on the giant photo boards. And I think one thing that made at least Umbra successful in the aftermath of FWA was that at FWA, we sold registration cards, physical registration cards, in fact, for Umbra that you could buy. You registered for the con that way, and then you got to walk around with a little trinket on your badge that said, hey, I registered. I'm an attendee, or I'm a sponsor, or something like that. It's really nice. So all three major organizations working together, absolutely fantastic effort by everybody involved, and it made me proud to be a part of all three of these organizations. And also to go to the VRChat meet and greet, hosted by ATL Wolf and Company, which was, again, an absolute smash, filled main events to capacity. Must have had over 1,000 people there, again.
Oh, wow.
2023 at FWA, the VRChat meet and greet. Absolutely huge. There's a picture of it up on Twitter where the main event is filled. You had to get a guy up on a cherry picker lift just to take the shot. And I think the poor guy almost fell off.
Oh, no. Hope he's okay.
Yeah, he shook. It shook. He stumbled, but no, he was fine. Nobody fell. But, you had to get him up on the cherry picker lift, and everybody's up on stage all the way in the back, and then everybody's all the way in the front. Just 1,000 people packed together. And I think that photo, that meet, is what really was a wake-up call to a lot of conventions that said, hey, VRChat's a legit platform. We need more space for these meets. And if you're not involved in VRChat, you really should be in some facet, because the furry community is taking the platform over, and we're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. VRChat just celebrated what? It's
10 years?
Another record. Yeah, not only 10 years, but another record of people logged in, people accounts, people playing. Over 100,000 people are playing this platform now.
That's wild. Yeah, I saw a separate post that was like 109,000 and change, I think.
And we're not even in New Year's yet.
Oh God, New Year's, don't remind me of that. Oh,
Gonna be nuts.
indeed.
I'm looking forward to that. I won't
Gonna
be
be
online for
crazy.
it, but I definitely want to see, how far it goes.
Hmm.
I want to see what happens.
Okay. So while we're still on the topic of the conventions and Furality, what have been some of your favorite moments with or at these conventions?
Wow. There isn't just one,
Let's hear it.
but one of my favorites at least. You know what it is? I'm gonna get a little personal here.
Hmm.
Every time I enter the Crystal Forest or the Aqua World, I cry.
Hmm.
I'm actually crying now, just thinking about it. Because for me, Luma, in June of 2021, you have to understand, it's 2021. It's the worst of the pandemic.
Hmm.
All of our cons have canceled, or all of our events have shut down. Furfinity United closes its doors. So you have cons that are not only canceling, they're closing shop because they can't afford yet another year of doing nothing. And of course, we're losing friends and family.
Hmm.
And then you have Furality Luma that brings people together in this absolutely beautiful world. And, regardless of the numbers, it's another opportunity to come together to try to embrace a little bit of some social interaction of being with your friends, even though you can't see them in person. And that event, with how beautiful the worlds looked, with how incredibly just amazing Hayu's Wandering World song for Luma Forest and the soundtrack that he and company produced, all of that mixed together, I think really just blew the doors off of VRChat and Furality. I think that was one of the things that really put Furality on the map for a lot of people. And every time I walk into that forest, it's a reminder of everything that we went through. One thing that stands out to me is that during one of the final meets between fans, attendees, and staff, Dalton was thanking one of the staff members for his contribution, and he breaks down crying. Just absolutely bawling. That's one thing that I remember from our last hours before the world shut down, was how people felt in the aftermath of this success, in the aftermath of bringing people together and giving people a taste of what things were like before the pandemic. And it's a reminder for me every time I walk into that forest. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I appreciate you sharing the story.
And I tell myself that I hope I continue to feel that way every time I walk into the forest and every time I walk into the aqua world, because the moment that I don't, I'll have lost something important. I'll have lost a part of me. And I hope I always am reminded of that, because it reminds me that I'm still human and that I'm still a part of this great movement that we have built. Every world that is in VRChat has been built by some creative person or team. AI didn't build this. We built this. We built every world and everything that has come with it. The songs, the videos, the posters, the events, right on down to the textures of this tree and these leaves and the avatars that we wear. We made this. The VRChat team gave us the tools that we needed, Unity, Blender, all the 3D modeling programs, but we took the tools that we were given and we built this. Some AAA team didn't make this, or maybe they did. But all this came from the crazy creative genius minds of the world creators and avatar builders and the event producers and all the people that work the back end and all the people that put the pieces of the puzzle in place to pull off something amazing. We made this. We did this, and nobody can take that from us. And that's what walking into a Furality world reminds me of. That we built all of that, and no one can take that from us. That's ours.
Wow.
I feel much better now. I feel much better now.
Sounds like the course of that entire thing. It sounds like you want an emotional roller coaster for up, down, back up again. That was wild.
I'm just curious.
That's what walking into the crystal does. That's what it does for me.
I'm just curious. When you say AAA, you're not talking car insurance, are you?
I mean, you have these companies like Microsoft. Not Microsoft, excuse me. Well, actually no, because I think at one time Microsoft was pursuing VR interests for a time. I don't know where they're at right now, but you have a multi-billion-dollar company like Facebook, for example, that they buy out Oculus and they take over the Quest 100%. The name, the hardware, the capability, everything. And I really feel like they're not really embracing its full potential. I feel like they could do more without jacking up the cost. You're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company that has the capital to secure the resources necessary for this. And instead of working with the existing landscape, they're throwing all of that out and they're trying to rewrite the book, but they're ignoring everything that currently exists. And I feel like if they would craft their playbook around what has been proven to be successful, then they can further maximize what they produce from that instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. You have Mark Zuckerberg who's doing backflips over the fact that he's able to, move his arms and legs in a virtual environment. Hello? Hi. We've been doing this for the past 10 years, buddy. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in order to come up with something incredible. Use what has already been made as a springboard. Go from there. And for God's sake, stop firing people. Good Lord.
Well, you can at least give Quest this much. They've provided a headset that's affordable to a lot of people. I think VRChat's like 75% or more Quest headsets, which honestly, for VR and what we do in VRChat, what you do with Furality, allows a lot more people who can't afford the $1,000 to $2,000 price tag to get into VR2 for like $300 to $500. So at least give Meta credit where credit is due, which is it's a lot more affordable now to a lot more people.
Absolutely. I think the Quest, despite its limitations, has really opened the door for a lot of people. We need Quest users in VRChat. We need those who don't have the $1,000 headsets. We need those who don't have the VR capable rigs. We need the people who just have the headset because they're part of our family and they are going to be the future of our community. So we need to embrace everybody who gets involved with this platform and bring them in. Bring them into a positive and welcoming environment, and provided that they can, follow all the rules and all that, prop them up and help them expand their capabilities. The next person that you recruit very well may be your go-to guy or girl to make your worlds and host your events.
I very much agree. One thing we've seen on this with Metaverse Degen and VRChat walking around all the time is the VRChat pipeline is a very, very common and strong thing. Hell, I'm going to use one of my friends, Marco Dragon, who we met when he was a standalone person. He had a headset, and then eventually he got full body. He then went a little further. He now makes content, all in the span of a year because of him seeing things, him seeing people, I want to do the fun, and next thing you know, he's getting involved in a lot more things, and that's a very common thing here in VRChat. So that Questie may, as you said, be the person who makes your world later on. Hello, I'm here to interrupt your current video, ask you a favor. Down in the description, down that way, is a link, metaversedegen.card.co, which you have a whole bunch of other places. If you wish to continue following us, we have Twitter, which I run for us, which you get updates and other stuff and random thoughts from me. We have a Discord where Raptor Eye and the entire crew and all the other people we know will be over there hanging out. We game there fairly regularly or hang out in there, so feel free to go over that way and come chat with us. We'd love to meet you. We have a Spotify now. Surprise. Everything from a couple weeks ago forward, we'll have our Spotify content on Fridays. If I remember, we'll put some of our old content forward, but we're going to keep up with our current content on Spotify. So if you wish to watch it there or listen to it there, it'll be there for you as well. Also, we have a Patreon, which we have a whole other show, which we haven't been keeping up with, but we're doing our best. But we have a whole other show there for you as well. We would like to give a huge thanks to some of our supporters over that way, which is Future Oracle, Aliquum, Niche, and Forbidden Zero, all of which we thank you very much for everything, and hopefully we'll see you around and you continue to enjoy the content. Enjoy the current video. Oh boy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I started in desktop mode, and I was in desktop mode for 2 years. And from pointing and clicking and WASD and running around with the cyberware Zeus wolf, big black-furred buff wolf. Now, I've got an avatar that I bought from Ghost Cabot, and the retexture was done by another member of our VRChat meet and greet and portal team, Max the Yellow Fox, who made the initial Grey Wolf avatar that looks very close to my fursona, my fursuit, which, I got a fursuit within, I think, 2 years of me being in the fandom, so I've just launched myself and embraced all this in full. So absolutely. Get people in, welcome them, embrace them, teach them your craft, and next thing you know, they become president of your organization.
Oh,
you never know.
You never know indeed. So what got you in the fandom initially, Matt, since it sounds like you've not been in long?
So, well, actually, I've been in since, I think, 2013. I first got involved because of the artwork. And from there, it was a combination of looking to expand my social circles, exploring more of it, and trying to recover from a moment in my life when I needed to put myself back together. And that's how the wolf fursona was born. That's how Chevron came to be. And in 2019, I got onto Furzu, which is a social networking platform for the furry community. I met this girl who was in, a local area, and we sat down, we talked together, and she introduced me to my local state groups. I live in the state of New Jersey. There were a bunch of groups for North, South, Central, and then all these individual groups for individual events. So I got involved with them, and I went to my first Fur Bowl bowling event for, the community. And it was a little awkward seeing all the fursuits, but I got used to it. And then I started networking and talking to people. And then February 2020 happens. COVID-19. Everything shuts down. So I started getting concerned because all the events are canceled. The groups aren't doing anything. And I started thinking to myself, we need to keep doing something, because stagnation for any group is death. We face extinction as groups, so we need to keep people active. Now, I'd come from some leadership elements in the past, so I offered to host my own events. And one of the first events that I hosted was a stay-at-home cooking event. And what that was the idea of you live streaming, recording, or video chatting over Discord, Telegram, whatever, of yourself making a particular dinner, making some kind of dish. And an hour later, you sit down at a table, you got the video going, and you all eat together. And you talk, just like, friends and family like you would normally do. So that was successful. And then as time went on and restrictions started getting relaxed, and they started coming out with the idea of, okay, you can go out to diners as long as you're wearing masks and you're outside with so many people at the table. I started hosting diner meets. So I hosted a meet at a local diner, did that a couple of times. And then VRChat popped up. So we got involved with VRChat. And then I realized, how much fun I was having, and I started going to virtual events. And then I started hosting my own events because I figured, okay, I can't make a lot of the other events that people are doing, so the hell with it, I'm just going to host my own. And then we'll see who's available to play. And that's actually how Comrades and Ops was born in VRChat, at least. Comrades and Ops being my personal group that was descended from a similarly named organization in EVE Online, which is a spaceship MMO game that I play. Very intense, your loss is my gain, only the strong survive, no rules, that sort of thing. So Comrades and Ops became a group in EVE Online for people to host whatever operation they wanted. The name transitioned over into VRChat, and that's how Comrades and Ops in VRChat was born. So Comrades and Ops, the idea is that anybody can host their own event and promote themselves and bring people together. So we've got a couple of moderators that actively host events, and then every Thursday we'll do games, and for every Cozy Con we'll also do a gaming session, and then we'll talk about whatever organization is doing their activities for that weekend. So we'll promote Furality, we'll promote Hex Furry Fest, we'll promote Cozy Con, Projekt Community, WaterWolf. Anybody who's doing anything, we'll talk about that. And it's a way to bring people together. And that's been my story so far in VRChat as an event host. And likewise, I'm also a tournament host for Cyrix. He made Laserdome, Fate of the Ereblas, Avi Wars, and on occasion, he or other officers in the Discord or other tournament organizers will call for a tournament, and they'll call for instance hosts, and I will step up each time, if I can, to assist. So my job is to host a particular instance, notify the teams that'll be competing against each other, confirm the scores, and plug them into a bracket. And we'll see which team advances. And I'm also there to answer any questions that the teams might have about performance or issues or avatars, things like that. And it's been really satisfying to be part of that action.
Wow. So how many events have you run with both Cyrix's group, which we have got to know on the channel as well? Cyrix is an amazing, talented musician. With what you do, how many events have you run between those two groups, Comrade Ops and Cyrix's groups, with Avi Wars and Laserdome?
I can't put a number on it, but I can say that I've been working with Cyrix for more than the last 2 years. Ever since the tournament that myself and Snellrev hosted in June of 2022, the Foxwolf Open, which was a team deathmatch tournament versus control points that Cyrix does. Instead of taking over territory, you're just simply there to kill each other. And that tournament was actually really interesting because June 2022 was when VRChat made that partnership with Easy Anti-Cheat. And a lot of people were really upset about that because it came with the caveat that all mods for the client would be disallowed. And that included quality of life improvement mods or mods that were designed to assist those who were hearing impaired or had difficulty with their eyesight or difficulty with their hands, or safety settings, custom safety settings. All those mods disappeared. And that's when VRChat got review bombed on Steam. People were leaving the platform. They were going to rivals. For the tournament's perspective, we lost a team and we lost a couple of players and we lost a host that all decided to participate in the protest. However, for every person that we lost, we gained 3. We lost a team, we gained 3. We lost a host, we gained 3 or 4 more hosts. So by the end of it, we had 11 teams and 12 hosts, and it was a runaway success. And actually, that's what birthed my development career as well.
Really?
Because I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something for the hosts. I talked to Cyrix, but Cyrix was unable to do it. So I talked to another friend of mine named Astral Mimi, who I had met at Hex Furry Fest. She is a member of the Lords of Floof social group, as well as the Vibe Night team. And she made a number of worlds, including the Vibe Night Raving world. That was like the underwater base. And over 3 months' time, she helped me make this. Here we go. I think I still have it on this avatar. Yes, I do. Excuse me, I might be a little small here.
It's all right.
All right, here we go. Loading. There we go. All right. So let me upsize myself here. There we go. Excuse me. That's good enough. So Astral Mimi over 3 months' time helped me make this. So this is the, whoa, that's my trackers. This is the Foxwolf Open badge that was made in in the likeness of Snellrev. He had a similar image which showed his face, but if you look close, you'll see it says Foxwolf open with the date of the tournament. And from this blossomed the idea of, well, what else can I make? Could I make my own avatar? Could I make my own world? So then I started playing around with Blender. And next thing you know, I made the initial layout of my main quarters world. You could call it an apartment or a house or a private quarters or a captain's quarters, however you want to say it. I started making that. And as I was working on that, a friend of mine was putting together a team to develop his own world, a special project, and I applied. Unfortunately, I didn't make the team. However, I used that moment to further spurn my desire to learn more about Blender and Unity. So I started teaching myself. And about a year and 3 months later, last October, in fact, I released my first world. It's called the Aquatics Haven, which is a massive swimming world for swimming and diving enthusiasts for some communities that I'm involved in. And it's also served as a world that helps promote all of the VRChat meet and greets that myself and the team that I'm a part of have hosted in person. So you'll see banners from all the meets that we've attended, and these banners were signed by everybody and then given to the charity auctions. And they've gone for so much money at all these different conventions that we participated in. So the world has helped me learn and has helped me expand my capabilities and has helped me show off firsthand some of the things that I've done in our furry community. So yeah, for about the last 2 years, I've been participating with Xperience. Comrades and Ops has gone for, I think, about a year and a half. We'll be celebrating our anniversary, our 2-year anniversary, in fact, this coming December. But how many sessions I've held? At least 100. But I'm not alone. I've got moderators like Nox the Circle and Scottish Gamer who have graciously volunteered their time to help out. And the team that I'm a part of has at least a dozen people that all contribute in some way. They contribute their time, their moderator skills, their equipment, their managerial knowledge, their ability to network with different conventions to make sure that we have what we need. And all these people working together make our meet and greets a runaway success each time. And it's been a great honor to work with all of these people and all this team and all the conventions that we participated in. I wouldn't give it up for the world. Ever.
I don't blame you. A group that you've mentioned a few times, you said you do stuff with. What got you involved with WaterWolf? And for those who don't know, what is WaterWolf?
WaterWolf Community is essentially a massive social and world-building, avatar-making, and technical organization. A lot of them are members of AV teams for Anthrocon, Furry Week in Atlanta, and other conventions all around the world. Some of them are also members of the Furality team, as well as other major organizations all across VRChat. So it's a massive collective of world builders, texture artists, avatar makers, shader experts, event organizers, and producers, all working together to host these massive, titanic raves and parties and get-togethers. And their signature event every year is FoxCon or FrostCon, which is a 2 to 3 day rave held at the end of every year. But they've also made worlds for FWA. As I mentioned, they made the Portal World. They also made the Portal World for Anthrocon this year. It's called Anthro Coaster. There's a massive carnival-like roller coaster with a portal in it that helped bring people together pretty much all throughout the convention. And I've actually got an avatar for them as well. Here we go. I love cyberpunk stuff. I love sci-fi stuff. So being able to don the circuits and just embrace the future or the ideal future through WaterWolf has been a great experience. And they've also helped me with my skills in Blender and Unity with crafting the worlds that I've been working on so that they perform more like what I want them to do. So through WaterWolf, I was able to learn some aspects of scripting and creating an interface that allowed a player to interact with the world and some of the things that I wanted the player to do in said world. Without WaterWolf, that wouldn't have been possible. So to be part of Engineer Isaac's team and his people and the WaterWolf Collective has been a great experience. It really has been fun. And I can't wait to meet these guys in person at whatever con we end up at.
So how many projects have you worked with WaterWolf with, and what are some moments through that group that you appreciate or that you remember?
So I helped promote the FWA portal and world. I helped moderate some instances. I'm part of the operations team, so mainly my responsibility is to, answer any questions that people have, direct them to the right personnel, and if I have an opportunity to promote, like to submit a poster in a Discord or another organization somewhere, I will do that. And then I'll lend a hand with whatever's needed. So I'm kind of like this go-to person to help out, to fill gaps in personnel rosters with, somebody who can't make an event or can't make some kind of responsibility. I fill in for that.
Wow. So as an overall question from everything we've talked about, since you started VRChat, working with all these organizations, with all these accomplishments you've helped with, do you view VRChat or the VR any differently than when you started?
I've seen more of the inner workings of what it takes to produce an event in VRChat. I would say that I have further respect and renewed respect for the people who volunteer to construct these events, and also great respect for the developers, of course, who have given us this platform to play. Because let's be honest, without the VRChat development team, this would not be possible. We've already seen projects like Neos fold up and remake itself, and we've seen other VRChat projects like what was the Microsoft one that folded up recently? I can't remember off the top of my head, and that's probably why. But we've seen the effects of what happens when our precious VRChat, or our precious VR worlds, become vaporware. It folds, it dissolves, and where do people go from there? They go to maybe Second Life, or they come here, or elsewhere, or whatever. And we've seen the effect of people getting angry when their favorite games close down. I'm already seeing petitions from people that are pushing the idea of a game company never abandoning a game. Well, that's not really feasible because you have to allocate server space to it. You need people to man it. And it's just not going to be possible. If the money's not there, the interest isn't there, it's going to dry up. Luckily enough, that hasn't happened to VRChat. So I have renewed respect for the developers of VRChat, a number of whom I have had the opportunity to meet in person. And then, of course, I have reinforced respect for all the people that work behind the scenes to make all the events that we attend what they are. And you're talking about some teams that have hundreds of people on staff filling various roles. This isn't like a couple of, passionate zealots in a basement somewhere. No, these are teams of people from all over the world, all with different jobs and disciplines and specialties and skill sets, all coming together to produce the amazing. You have to give them some credit.
Yeah. Wow. I very much can understand and see that very view. Thank you for sharing that as well. So of everything you've done, what have been some of the hardest ones to work through, I guess, projects, or maybe it's something you had to struggle through, and how did you achieve your way to the other side?
It's not the project that can get to me. It's fending off burnout. That is the biggest challenge. Admittedly, I do get busy with a lot of the stuff that I'm involved with, and I feel like I do it to myself. Partly because of my fear that if I stop, then I stagnate and I spin my wheels and I just wither away and dissolve. But I'm also giving up time on some personal projects, and that's the balancing act that you play when you do volunteer. You volunteer your time and your skill set for a particular project or group or goal at the expense of whatever else that you could be working on in that moment. So I have to learn how to better budget my time, get better sleep, and try to set limits on myself so that I'm not absolutely exhausting myself with the projects that I do choose to volunteer for. So I have actually found myself establishing limits. Because it got to the point where I was spending an entire weekend off from my actual job in the real world working on these endeavors and then screaming out no more because I was exhausting myself. I was literally frying my brain and exhausting my body and giving up all this time while I watched my own pursuits just stagnate. And I was scared about abandoning them. So I had to take a step back and decide, okay, this is what I want to do differently. This is what I'm going to do differently. And I can't commit myself to giving up all of my time for this when I'm not really seeing what I hope to see as a result. Now, luckily enough, all the groups that I participate with, they don't have that problem. You know, I am seeing great results from my volunteerism. And I'm proud and appreciative of that. But there have been some groups where I have had to pull the plug and say, I can't do this anymore. I need to move on because I'm not seeing something that's going to keep me continually engaged. And if I'm not engaged, I need to leave.
So when you started burning out, how did you adopt a new mindset to better manage your time, and how did you make those changes to better manage your time?
I started establishing hard limits on the amount of time and effort that I wanted to put into these particular projects that I was pursuing. And part of it involved telling people no. Somebody would ask me to take on extra responsibilities that were outside my purview. I had to tell them, no, I can't do that. Or somebody asked me to embrace some responsibility that I knew I could do. I kind of wanted to do it, but I knew in my heart that if I got involved, that it would choke more, essentially, of the life force out of me that I could better allocate to either myself or the groups that I was already involved in. And again, that involved, it mainly involved telling people no. You know, I can't do it. It's too much. I think it's outside of what I can give you. You're going to have to ask somebody else. I'm not going to mention any names, but luckily enough, the teams that I'm involved with, they have not had that problem. You know? Because the teams that I'm involved with, they have respect for the idea that real life comes first. Your time is your own. What you choose to give us is whatever you choose to give us, and that's okay. It's not like people are calling me up, demanding reports, or demanding more of me that I'm not willing to give. Everything that I'm giving the groups that I'm involved in, I'm willing to give them of my own accord. That is not compulsory. It is a willful offer of my time and energy and talents because I want to see these groups succeed. I want to see posters, booths. I want to see their presence expand. I want more people to know about them. I want more people to join us and participate. And I want to see these groups succeed. And the more I help, the more likely that they will succeed, I think. But there's got to be a limit. There's got to be a time where I say, I can't do it. Or I can't give you any more.
Okay. And before I go to the other question I have, there's a question I'm surprised you haven't asked yet. You usually ask towards the beginning, Mr. Raptor.
The question is, when you first came into VR, what's the weirdest thing you ever saw? And you said, nope, not for me.
Not the first. But I do remember my first interaction with somebody. I was in an avatar, world. I forget which one. It had like pipes and tunnels and such. But I picked up a furry avatar. I think it was a wolf or something like that. And I changed into it and I looked at it. And some kid rounded the corner, took one look at me and said, "Ew, furry, kill yourself." Very first interaction that I had with literally anybody on the platform was that. I'm thinking to myself, you gotta be kidding. Is this really how people treat each other? Come on, I played video games throughout the 90s and the early 2000s. I played Counter-Strike. I played StarCraft. I played Quake. I know how people behave online. We've seen this. You know, I was born in 85. I'm a 90s kid. You know, I get it. You know? But that's literally the first thing out of your mouth when you meet somebody? You tell him to off himself? You don't even know him? Seriously? Is that where we're at? Is that where gaming is at right now? First interaction with somebody. But I didn't let that stop me. You know, I just blew him off, move on, whatever, round the corner, find something else. Weirdest thing? Well, horror games terrify me. I can't do horror in VRChat. I absolutely can't. Like my body shuts down. I can't move. I got to get the hell out of there. I don't even have the energy to click on my menu and click return to home. That's how visceral it is. So I can't do games like Killer Knight. I won't do it. With like the red glowing eyes around the corner and the impending sensation of doom. Like, no. Get that away from me. Other than that, I did catch somebody at one point. Yeah. Doing... Yeah.
In a horror world.
Yeah. I don't even think it was public. It was like a friend's world or something like that. I popped in there to see how he's doing. I took the corner. I was like, okay, you do your thing. See ya. I don't even think they saw me, but I was just like, all right, bye. Reminded me when I caught people in college. I walked into the common area to throw something away, and I took one look around the couch. There's two people like, excuse me. Walked back to my dorm. I forget what I was playing. I might have been Halo 3. Whatever.
If it was, yeah, somebody like that doing it in college, doing a setup like that, I would have sat over there going, "Be right back. I got the tickets in the bedroom. I'll be right back," and start selling.
Nice.
Wonder what? Yeah,
Nice.
You got to be quick on that kind of stuff, and people go, "What? You're gonna sell tickets? Yeah, man. I'll take 10%. You can have the rest because you're doing all the work."
Tag him out. All right, I'll relieve you. Here we go.
Tag him out like wrestling. My God, no. God, no.
It was college.
Oh,
it was college. Come on.
Yeah.
It was college.
Some
Whatever.
Some of the stuff that you see in college, you just shake your head and going, "Are you serious? You're doing it where and why?" It was it was a drop of a hat moment. And it's your best friend. You're going, "Wow, I guess it was a drop of the moment." How many people walked by and walked away? Did you notice? There was nobody in the room. You want to bet there's been about 12 people walked by in the last 5 minutes. Wow, you're really with it all what's going on. Mm-hmm.
So I have another question for you as well. What was one of the earliest moments where you were wowed by the platform VRChat way back when you were early VRChat days?
So, walking into new Furality worlds, always a great experience for me. When I'm working on a project or I'm part of a team that's secretly working on the world and they're being very hush-hush about it, when it finally gets unveiled, great feeling walking into that world for the first time. But one of the most beautiful moments for me was walking into the Luma forest with the headset on for the very first time. It wasn't desktop mode anymore. It was a much more immersive, involved experience. That for me was unforgettable. And when the Aqua lobby went live, just as great when that went public again. It was actually the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend. I think 2 years ago, 2022. Yeah, 2022. It was the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend. And of course, I had work Tuesday morning, but Furality decided to release the Aqua Lobby public at that time. So everybody started flocking onto it. We had a full instance, and oh God, I think I was up to 4 in the morning. I don't even think I slept. I think I may have been up for like 36 straight hours again because the lobby went public. I don't think I slept. But that moment to relive Aqua was phenomenal, and to see all of our friends and get great pictures and put them up online, put them up on my galleries, and spread word of what we were doing. It was just amazing.
So, since you've done a lot of real life stuff with showing VR and promoting VR, how do you describe to people what you do here in VRChat and what VR is to people who's never been?
So the team that I'm a part of, when we host the VRChat meet and greets, we actually took lead from FWA 2023. When Dalton from Furality stood up on stage with the rest of the Furality team behind him, and he kept it brief. He did like a 10 or 15-minute presentation to talk about Furality and to talk about some events that were upcoming in VRChat. So we took lead from that. We started initially with the idea of giving a presentation on what VRChat was. Now, for our local con of Philadelphia, when we started doing this in 2022, there were a lot of people that didn't know what VRChat was, so the presentation was warranted. We did like a 40-minute presentation, and we talked about the platform, we talked about what headsets were available and everything you can do. And when I have a new person that talks to me about VRChat, I draw a lead from that, and I say, if the question is what is there to do, the answer is, what do you want to do? So I describe it as a massive social gathering and gaming platform that lets you build your own world, visit your own world, go anywhere you want, do anything you want, and meet some of the greatest people that you'll ever meet. And play some of the most fun games that you will ever play. And you don't even need a headset for it.
Okay. So when you
and if I can get them interested in that, then I talk about the different conventions that we're involved in, like CozyCon, Furality, the WaterWolf group, all the teams that I'm a part of, just see if I can jog their interest. And sometimes it works.
So when you have these conversations and what are the general response from people you've gotten when you had these conversations?
I first have to dispel the idea that VRChat requires a headset. There are a lot of people, when they first learn of VRChat, they think it's all just like the Quest headsets, and they think you absolutely have to have like a $10,000 rig and VR in order to play. That's obviously not the case. So you tell people, no, you can play with a regular computer. You can play with a mobile phone if you wanted to. It's the toughest part, of course, is getting them to take that first step. I can't download the program for them. They have to be willing to try it. And human nature, humans don't like change. Sometimes they don't like trying new things. You have to really push them in order to do it, but you can't push too hard, otherwise they'll reject it and they'll rebel and fight it. So if you can convince somebody to actually download the platform and give it a try, then at least that's a great step towards getting them more involved. And then the next challenge is getting them involved with people that they'll be comfortable with. Because dropping them in a public instance in the Black Cat is not going to work at all. So you need to introduce somebody to friends, your friends circle, or get them involved in a group. Furry Events Community, No Friends Friends Club, Projekt Community, WaterWolf, all great organizations for helping people interact, triumphing over social anxiety, getting involved in all the different social communities that are out there. Those are all great opportunities for people to really get involved. Or you start off small with a private group of just your friends. That's partly how I got involved. And then I launched into the major organizations. And then I started hosting my own events because I wanted to bring people together.
Okay. So do you think getting people involved with the groups like the ones you're involved with are a better choice than the Black Cat? As a first place, people go.
Well, I would think
Oh
that
my God.
the best way to get somebody involved in VRChat once they download the platform is you take them one-on-one and you show them your favorite world, like Furality Aqua Lobby, or Silva, or the Fur Hub, in fact, or the Furry Museum. And, you show off what these worlds can do, what they're about. Then you talk about some friends. Like, let me introduce you to some friends. That's actually how I met one of my friends up in Toronto. I introduced him to the idea of VRChat, and he downloaded the program. And I took him into a gathering of my furry social group called the Fluffy Fur Friends. We're an international group of furs from all up and down the United States, East Coast, Canada, overseas, all over the place. And we occasionally do social gatherings, and we'll also we'll participate in the game nights with Comrades and Ops. We'll participate in Projekt Community and other organizations. We've got some Furality staff members as well. And I brought this particular individual into the Fluffy Fur Friends during one of the nightly gatherings, got him introduced to people. He's now going to movie nights, playing D&D, playing golf. He's thinking about hosting his own gatherings. He's thinking about doing voice acting because of VRChat.
Oh, wow. That is, that's one of the things about VRChat I have noticed is the amount of how quickly it takes someone who's new, like you or me when we started, and the next thing you know, you're off on some grand adventure because a VRChat veteran saw the new news like, all right, little guy, we're going to go on an adventure. The next thing you know, you're doing some other crazy stuff. I heard the story so many times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to introduce somebody to the platform is just take them by the hand and, take it slow. Don't drop them into a big-ass convention as their first day. They're going to get overwhelmed. They're not going to be able to handle it. If you want them to stay, then you need to do it in steps. Or, take them someplace, and if you discover they're like, oh my God, this is amazing, stick around, explore more of it. Let them really sink their teeth into it. Let them find something that they love to do or they love about the platform. And just go from there.
Okay, so last couple of questions before we wrap up. One of which is the name that you got. Where did you get it? And why do you still use it?
The name? My name?
Yeah. Commander A9.
So Commander A9 is an old gamer tag before gamer tags were gamer tags. It comes from the original Command & Conquer. Specifically Command & Conquer Red Alert. So we're talking 1996. The allied player in Command & Conquer Red Alert is dubbed Field Commander A9. I happen to like that name, so during my very early gaming days before I actually had an identity of my own, I took Commander A9 as my own identity, and it's launched from there. So in a lot of the communities that I play, you'll see me as Commander A9, or you'll see me as Chevron, which is my persona name. And that was born out of the idea of constructing a persona that had some military experience and a desire to serve perhaps not only his country, but the greater free world, and also because of the logo on my cheek. The arches of a military rank are called chevrons. So, my persona's name is Chevron. And I am a gray wolf, like what you would find out in Colorado, and a commando in the Global Defense Initiative, the United Nations military coalition from Command & Conquer. So I lead a fire team, call sign Fire Team Jericho. And we are an international group of people from, say, Scotland, Finland, the United States, and France. And we've got a small team of people with different disciplines, and we will take on high-risk missions on Helldivers or Earth Defense Force or other games that we play. And these guys are some of the greatest people that I've had the privilege of palling around with. I don't see them much often anymore because, we're so busy, but when we do get together, it's an explosive night.
And you kind of answered who the avatar you're in is, but the next question is, why do you choose the avatar that you used to wear and why use it for this long? And is there anything about it that means something to you?
This is Ghost Cabot's Fluffer. So it's one of his older avatars. He also made the Free Count. this is essentially a combination of a wolf, a fox, and other fluffy creatures. I've seen other wolves before. I mean, Julia Winterpaw's got a great wolf. Cyberware's got a really cool Zeus wolf, and the Zeus wolf was actually my first avatar. But something about the fluffer just works. You know, my fursona, my fursuit, if you've seen that, that's on one of my profile pictures here. And yeah, I'll bring that up. Let's see, here we go. So the profile picture that I have attached to this avatar is a picture of my actual fursuit. And you can see it's got this sort of cartoony style to it. And, you know, I obviously liked it, so I wanted to preserve that. And I think the fluffer avatar here really is the best possible choice for that. In fact, somebody in VRChat recognized me because the avatar looked so much like my fursuit, and they had met me at a con just weeks prior.
Oh, wow.
In my fursuit. So I kept it. Now, I would like to make my own avatar, primarily for Laserdome, you know, with, you know, a full suit of armor and emissions and all that for the blasters and all. But, you know, for now, the fluffer unarmored like this suits me just fine.
Okay. Well, I will say, Commander, thank you for letting Raptor and I get to know who you are and your entire journey from where you started to where you are now. So thank you.
Yeah, we
You're welcome.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been a real blast.
It has. And if the audience wishes to reach out or find you or any of the groups that you're in, where can they go to find you?
So best place to find me would be on Discord and Telegram if you wanted to get in direct contact. I am Commander A9 on Discord. I am Chevron the Wolf on Telegram. You could also get involved with Comrades and Ops, a VRChat group. We are comops.9255. I believe that's our code. Yeah. Comops 9255. We play games every Thursday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do high-capacity quest-compatible games for 2 hours, and then we'll talk about latest happenings of the upcoming events in VRChat. So that would be the surefire way to get involved and interact and have some fun with me and the rest of the group.
Well, thank you very much. And everything that Commander has mentioned will be down in the description below with every other fun link that's down there. And I swear the more of these I do, the bigger down there gets. I am sorry, but it's a shopping list of fun things for you, the audience member, to go check out. So write down that way everything you want. I'm sorry ahead of time if there are a lot of tags down there. But before we hand it off to Raptor, we'll give you, the audience member, a question as well. What is your most memorable childhood video game you've played? We've heard Commander's and where his name came from. What's yours? We'd love to hear about it. I'll tell you mine. Fun fact, one of my childhood games is actually the same game as Commander's. One of my childhood friends, really good friend of mine, would sit down in front of the N64 and play it non-stop, probably 6-7 hours in a row. Lots of memories. That and Morrowind. Love both of those things. Same reason. With that said, all right, guys. With that said, Raptor, you know the thing.
Yeah, it's a true thing is when some people like me being old and everything else, and nothing against Comrade here, but when you think of Chevron, it's not an oil company. I'm sorry, he's a wolf. So if you think he's going to blow up on you, you never know. But join him. Have fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye.